Do these crazy egg prices have you thinking about investing in backyard chickens? Stay tuned and we will talk through what you need to think through before you go out and buy you some. I'm out here at our chicken coop. We have around 20 chickens. These are just egg-laying hens back here, and we are considered a backyard chicken farm. So we roughly have anywhere between 20 and 30 chickens that are laying at one time. Chickens don't lay every single day, so it's not like we're getting 2 dozen a day, but it is good to have quite a few, especially if you're going to sell eggs. And in this economy right now, you could get $6 or $8 for a dozen of fresh, farm fresh eggs right from your door. No delivery required. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, do I want to make the commitment to my backyard chickens? Yes, they're pretty easy once they are full grown, and all you have to do is give them some food and check for eggs. But in the beginning, it's going to take a little bit of work. Before you go and buy yourself some eggs at the nearest co-op or farm tractor supply store, you need to make sure that your city and even your HOA allows you to have chickens. So I would check all of those rules and regulations before you even start. So we're not going to give them any food right now because it's actually true you can overfeed chickens because they don't know when to stop eating. But we're going to go look at the eggs. So I need to unlock. And they will follow you in. Looky there, there's 3 eggs right there. So we're gonna get those 3 eggs out and take them inside. These laying hens were not always this big. In fact, you get them as baby chicks as young as a week old. You have to raise those baby chicks to a certain size before you can stick them out here in your chicken coop. That's going to require some time and maintenance for 8 weeks total, but the first 2 or 3 weeks, those chickens may even be in a little chicken coop inside your house or shop because they have to stay warm. When they're big enough to go to a smaller chicken coop, which we have one, it's back here on the other side of this bigger chicken coop that we move our baby chickens to after a few weeks. You still have to keep a heater in there, a heat lamp. You still have to make sure they have water and food every single day. And you don't really move them into the bigger coop until they are around the same size as your chickens that you already have. A pecking order is real. These chickens already know who's in charge. And if you were to add some baby chickens, some smaller ones, they would actually bully them and peck them. So it's important to make sure you don't introduce your flock too soon. We like to have this smaller chicken coop, and I'll show you it in just a second, out here with these chickens because they're going to get used to hearing their sound and singing them. So it won't be such a shock when you introduce them. Here's our smaller chicken coop. So when our chickens are 3, maybe even 4 weeks old, we move them out here. It is really dirty right now. It's winter time. And we don't raise baby chickens in the winter. So that needs to be cleaned out before we can introduce some more. There will be a heat lamp in here for these baby ones for a while, but we do not keep a heat lamp in our bigger chicken coop. Many people think that you have to have a heat lamp in the chicken coop for your chickens, but that is actually not true. Especially if you don't live in a climate where it's below freezing for months. So if we were to put a heat lamp in our chicken coop back here, the chickens would always expect it. Chickens can acclimate to their weather. It's below freezing right now, but it will only stay below freezing for a couple days and then it'll go back up. But if you put a heat lamp one time for a few days in your chicken coop, your chickens will always expect it. And their bodies will change to acclimate to that weather. So you need to be careful when you're trying to introduce heat or light or anything that chickens don't necessarily have to have after they're about 8 weeks old. So if you're thinking about getting backyard chickens, remember that you also have to come out and make sure they have food and water during the winter time. It is February here in Arkansas and it is below freezing, but we're still going to make sure they have food, make sure they have water, and even check the eggs. Even though chickens will lay less eggs when it's colder, you need to check your eggs every day. If you leave eggs out in the chicken coop, say you miss a day or two and it's below freezing, your eggs will freeze. So whether you're going to walk right out your back door to your chicken coop, or if you have to walk a little ways, keep that in mind when you start thinking about getting your chickens and you start having to feed your chickens. As you can see, it's a couple hundred yards from my front door to come out here to our chicken coop. So it is in the afternoon and our chickens have already been fed early this morning, but they will greet you at the door every time because chickens will eat and will eat and will eat and will not stop eating. A couple of things you need to keep in mind if you're thinking about backyard chickens is the food that you're going to feed them. This is pellets, chicken food pellets. You can get crumbles for smaller chickens that we just buy at Atwood's. So you need to think about your food, your watering situation, and if you have room for your chickens. Now, like I said earlier, your chickens can be in a small coop with just 6 chickens right in your backyard, or if you have a lot of land like we do, you can make a bigger coop. You might think it's easy to keep your chickens watered, but if you have to walk a ways and it's raining or snowing or it is below freezing, you might want to think about setting up some type of waterer. We have a bucket with our water. It's solar powered. We have a gutter off of the coop and then it drains right in for the chickens to drink out. So if you're thinking about doing backyard chickens, right now is when you need to make that decision on what kind of chickens you want, the purpose of your chickens, how many you're gonna get, and that could depend on where you live, what you're gonna feed them, and what you are gonna do if you happen to need to go out of town for a few days or out of vacation. So you have to keep all of those things in mind. You can find chickens at a local farm supply store or like a Tractor Supply or an Atwood's. You can buy your chickens online, and yes, they get delivered in the mail, which is really fun and really cool. That's a fun way where you can order different types of chickens that are not necessarily sold locally. So right now is the time to decide, are you ready to start raising your backyard chickens? You'll raise those chickens for a couple of weeks inside in a warm place and then move them out. Or you can raise them for the whole 8 weeks before you move them out. Another thing to keep in mind is, I know egg prices are high right now, but you will not get any fresh eggs for 20 to 22 weeks. So you're going to be raising these chickens, feeding them their food before you even get one single egg. So keep that in mind.